This video is proudly sponsored by DigimonCard.io for all your Digimon card, deck building, deck list, card pricing, and discussion needs. Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we're going to go over my personal build of the BlackWarGreymon / Gaiomon archetype that has been kind of running around a bit in this BT9 meta. And I will say, like, BlackWarGreymon was one of my favorite lists in the BT8 meta, and it was just kind of missing a little bit of consistency and kind of like a little bit of oomph at the end. I think that Gaiomon and as well as the X-Antibody archetype in general just kind of adds that kind of missing element, and it's very, very functional. You get a lot of card draw for red, which is very rare, and there's a lot of really cool things. So we're just going to go over the list for you guys. And first, we do have the Chimeramon Digi-Egg. So you pretty much get to choose what you kind of want to do. I think both the draw one as well as the just +1 inherently one is they're both good effects. And kind of later in the game, like this one just kind of falls off, and like this one is the one you want. So like if you want to guarantee a good early game, I think this is the guy you want. I will just say, like, a lot of the time you're just also not swinging with your Chimeramon, like with your line, since we're not aggressive unless you know that you want the, you know, what you want kind of stuff. So, but I do like the idea just in case you need to get like a little bit of card draw early game. Like if you only have level 4s and you need to try to find a level 5, I think this is good for it. And then late game, like the +1k boost is kind of nice too. So, especially since this deck can kind of pressure Mother D Reaper sometimes, and so a +1k can be the difference of your guy living and your guy dying, and trading with a Mother swing. So next up, we do have the Agumon X-Antibody, and this is such a good card. Run it at 4 100%. So it is an Agumon. It's X-Antibody, so it does have Agumon in its name. Is not an Agumon itself, though, so that does make some fringe differences. But either on play or when digivolving on top of another Agumon, you get to look top 3 cards for any card with Greymon or Omnimon is name, as well as one X-Antibody option. And I will say, for this build, we're not running the X-Antibody option, but I've really considered it, and I don't think it's the wrong choice if you want to add 1 or 2, especially since we are, spoilers, running some cool boys. So if you like the idea of it, I think definitely run for it. I think an X-Anti or 2 could really change how you do some plays. But right now, I think since we're more of a control deck and less of like a kind of an OTK pressure deck, I don't think you need the quick access to that devolution and stuff, especially since our top end does have blitz, which means we don't really need the swing with X-Antibody as much either. So, but he's fantastic. Again, he is X-Antibody. And then we do have the promo Aandroidd that just gives +2k to all things named Greymon, so it's very easy to get that boost for us there. And then we do have, let's see, 3 of the BT5 one, just looks top 3 for anything with Greymon, are Omnimon in its name. We do have 2 of the BT8 one, and this one's like the better searcher, but since it is a black Agumon, as you'll see, we don't have a lot of things to digivolve on top of it all the time. So I think 2 just for like the hard cast, and sometimes digivolving on top of a Greymon, like the black Greymon, is fine, but this does search a lot deeper, which is quite nice. And then just to round it up to 15 rookies, we do just have 2 of the star deck, 1 Augur, so they give a passive +1k. So since we're playing like the draw 1 Chimeramons, I did kind of like these just for a little bit of extra boost, and that does make a difference in some matchups. So there are our rookies, and then going into our level 4s, we do have some Greymons, believe it or not. So first, we do have these X-Anti Greymons, and these are so good. So all turns when this Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon in its name, and then effect would delete or return one of your Greymons to your, this card to your hand or deck. You can trash 2 cards at the same level in this Digimon's evolution cards to prevent that from leaving play. So it's such a good protection effect, which is rare because red normally does not get something as good as this. And it does so much to, especially when you have like a big like Gaiomon with blockers, we'll see in a little bit. It's very hard to get rid of. So I'm really surprised that this got the effect protection, and the Greymon got the battle protection. But this is still this is such a good card. You always want to go into it. It's also a 6k for whatever reason, which just like a 5 for 2 for 6 is already overstated. And so being able to get that is good. You can also digivolve it into one of these Greymons too. So just get like a security attack +1 for free, essentially, if you already have this guy out. So that's very nice. We also are running 4 of the black Greymon that does have the inheritable, as long as the Digimon on top of it's red, which every Digimon is going to be red. You do get the game blocker, which is quite nice. So I like this guy a lot. It gets a lot of you always, like, your perfect stack is we'll go over, usually has this in it, and it's really nice. And then just 2 of the BT5 Gaiomon, just for like a little bit of a cheaper evo if you need it, as well as the inheritable gives a plus 2k when attacking, which can again be the difference between living and surviving at times. Next up, we go to our level 5s, and for those we do have our Metal Greymons. Again, this is such a powerful card for 4. Either de-digivolving and then being able to pop something. Like both effects of the when digivolving and on the inheritable are so good for what we're doing. So yeah, de-digivolving just means that if you are racing your opponent up a stack, you do get to kind of interact with them that way. De-digivolving doesn't do as much in this format because there are a lot of X-Antibodies running around, and so sometimes you just digivolve a level 5 into another level 5. But sometimes it does do something, and just even like a pop of something, especially like a memory blocker, can be impactful. And then we do also have the Metal Greymon X antibodies from this set. So you can digivolve on top of this for 0, or you can just digivolve for 3 on top of anything that is not the BlackWarGreymon. When digivolving, it gets security attack +1, and then also until the end of your opponent's turn. And then this, if there's a Metal Grey or X antibody underneath this card, you get +3k until the end of your opponent's next turn as well. So this is really nice, and this card is almost worth running the X antibody option for it just by itself, because you could have like a Greymon here, you could swing, or even if you have like, let's say where is it, this guy, even if you have like the security attack +1 Greymon, if you want to play like a more aggressive build of this, what you can do is you can just swing with this with the X antibody option. You go into this guy for 3, you have X antibody underneath it. It becomes an 11k with a security attack +3 underneath it, which is just a lot of damage for essentially you can do this on like turn 2 kind of thing. So I think it's kind of worth investigating. That's not how this build works, but I think it is something to consider if you want to kind of be more aggressive and less control-y for a build like this. Next up, we also just one more level 5 because I love it so much. It's the Chimeramon. It's so good for this, and like it's sometimes like a 5th version of like a Metal Greymon because it gets the inheritable underneath it. And if you need anything else, like if you're missing this guy or you're missing this guy in your stack, but it's in your trash, you can just kind of fix your devolution sources by going into this guy, even for a hard cast of 4, if you can keep it your turn, and then you can go into there. So I like it. I don't think it's too terrible to get 2 level 4s onto this on this field either. There's a lot of cheap ways to do that and go upper lines. So I really do like this Chimeramon. I think it does. And like the fact that it can get some board clears, it gives -2 or usually -3k because we are running 2 colors already. So as you get a black option or a black Digimon underneath it, because you're almost always going to have a red stack, you can use the effect to get a -3ks on the board, which is nice. Next up, we do have the boy itself, the Gaiomon from the set. We also are running 2 BlackWarGreymons, and even though you can Digimon the Gaiomon on top of the BlackWarGreymon, this is just the better one. Simply because it does have that, it has like so many keywords for it. So you can digivolve for 2. It's also always treated as a Greymon card, but security attack +1 reboot when digivolving. If this has a black digivolution card, you get to digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. And then also if this Digimon has a red digivolution card, it gains Blitz for the turn. So some of the reason that like the issue of this guy is you can go into it and then you can have the Metal Greymon underneath it. And then your opponent like says, okay, well, I can get rid of that before you can swing with it. And then there's no issue, right? So this is a 13k, which means that with the Agumon, it becomes a 15k and other things. So it's very easy for this to get above a 16k, which is a mother defeater. But it also just gets to Blitz. It has security attack +1, and it has reboot too, which means that if you have the blocker Greymon underneath it, you can swing with it, no problem. And you can restand at the end of the turn because of the reboot. Because part of the reason with this guy, you'd have this big stack with him just sitting there, and then like you'd never want to attack because you can't guarantee that he get the restand with its own effect kind of thing. So Gaiomon is just like better most cases. The only thing this is better at is getting rid of Tamers, which comes up every once in a while. And sometimes you can do some cool plays where you digivolve into this. It's still your turn, and you can digivolve into this afterwards. But it doesn't come up nearly often enough, I think, to warrant running anything different than a 3-2 split here. So Gaiomon is everything that the sticks needed, and it's very, very good. I've been really enjoying playing with it to the point where I used to play like the classic WarGreymon that just was a WarGreymon with Blitz on it, and so this being like a better version of that means you got to run 3 of it, baby. All right. Next up, we also just run Blitz Omni because why not? We want to win the game sometimes, and this lets us just do that outright. So, especially since we're going to usually have like these big level 6s just sitting there for the rest of the game. And again, if your opponent wants to get rid of them, they pretty much have to they have to put a lot of effort into it, because again, the best stack with this is to having another X-Antibody, which if you have like 2 of these out here, like 2 level 4s, and then you use a Chimeramon to go on top of it, and then you have like 4 level 4s underneath it with at least 1 set of X-Antis, like your opponent's just not doing anything to get rid of that. Like it's just there for the rest of the game, which is very fun. The only thing I can think like your opponent can interact with it is like with a Grandis. If they can suspend and do something, then they could try to attack over it, which is different. But outside of Grandis and maybe some like de-digivolving stuff, it's very, very strong. Going into our Tamers, we do have 2 Cool Boy and 2 Nokia. And if you don't like Nokia, I think you could do like a 3 Cool Boy and 1 Nokia. Or if you want to add the X-Antibody option, you can definitely do like 3 Cool Boy and then 1, and like this can become an X-Antibody and maybe something else for it. I think that is quite good. Also, do I have it next to me still? I think I do. Yeah, I still do. If you guys want to put in the Omni X-Antibody, if you're running the option, there's like you can just definitely go into this guy too. It is a little costly, but you can swing with your with something, and then it is an X-Antibody in its traits, so you can digivolve into this during the swing. You don't get the win attacking effect for it, but you do get the opponent's turn when your opponent's Digimon attacks. You can trash 2 to end the attack kind of thing. So it's kind of worth it. I don't run it currently, but it could be something that's impactful if you guys want to go into this and be like a very, very big control deck. I think that's fine, but immediately I don't think it's there yet, but it is something. But if you are running the X-Antibody option, you definitely play that guy at least one of, just because there are some cool kind of plays you can do with it by swinging and then digivolving kind of into it. So Cool Boy is great though. He searches for some pieces in our deck, and the fact that he gets makes every double devolution. He gets to gain memory by doing the devolution on top of X-Antibodies, and the card draw kind of adds up throughout the game. So, and then Nokia lets you play a rookie for free. A lot of our rookies do search top 3 for other cards, and then also makes a lot of every devolution we do, except for Chimeramon, 1 cheaper, which is quite nice. We also do run the Hero Tamer, and I think like this is just better for what it is. Like getting the +2k is better than security attack +1. We have so many ways to give the additional security attack, and we're more of a control deck, and we really don't want to lose to Mother. So I think this is just kind of good for that. And then 3 red memory boost, because this is fantastic. I think every deck is running memory boost right now. It's so good to get extra memory and finding the pieces you need, and especially like there's so many times where you just are missing 1 piece. And in general, there's just more pieces. Like sometimes like you can go all the way up to a stack, but sometimes you just need that, the X-Antibody to make it definitely worth it. And so to have a red memory boost to help you find that, I think is worth it. So that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. If there's any other BT9 decks you want me to kind of go over or talk about, let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to show you a deck for it. But I've been really enjoying this deck. I think Gaiomon is everything that I wanted BT8 BlackWarGreymon to be, but better, and it's very, very fun. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.